All right, so I'll call the Neary Building Committee meeting to order. It's Monday, May 8th, 2023. It's 9:01 a.m. First item on our agenda was the meeting minutes. They're still being drafted by the school administration team from the last meeting, so we'll pass on those for this discussion. The next update is going to be update on entrance to the MSBA feasibility stage. I should note, Greg had a conflicting meeting this morning, but we are well represented by the entire school team. So he won't be joining us. So there was a few of us, Keith and Becky were there, if I remember correctly, that joined along with Roger Challen as chair of the school committee when the MSBA welcomed Southborough into the feasibility stage, which was, I guess, about 10 days ago in last week of April. Greg described it best, anticlimactic. It was a very quick board meeting with the MSBA. I think we're all thrilled to be, moving forward. And we then later participated in a series. It was a workshop that basically has a series of steps that we're going to need to now undertake, which is the main reason why I wanted to get this group together today. Overall, things are going to really speed up. And by speed up, I mean, we've basically going to go 0 to 100 very quickly here in terms of actually starting to do some work. I know it's been, at least in my own personal opinion, a very slow year to keep this project moving, right? We got the funding a year ago this week, and then really have, done a lot of work behind the scenes to get the MSBA all the documentation. That was no short amount of work, mainly on the backs of our school administration. But, I think now we're front and center with the MSBA and moving forward. So that's where we're at in terms of feasibility. There's a whole slide deck that we have not actually received the hard copy of yet, but once we get that, we will forward it to the committee. It'll outline in very much detail what we're going to be doing over the next 6 or so months. So Keith is trying to chase that down with the MSBA.
Jason, we just got a response on Friday, so I'll gladly share that with you.
Okay, perfect.
Meeting.
Awesome.
And just to let you know, Steve Mucci did have to jump off for a student issue. He didn't have technology issues, so he's hungry.
No worries.
And just so you know, Jason, your video for me is frozen, I think for some others as well, but your audio is crystal clear.
Okay. I can see all you and your heads are moving. I don't know why I'm frozen, so I'm going to keep going unless anyone's bothered by my frozen stare.
No, it's a great image. You look great, so keep it going.
All right, I maybe we'll try to stop my video and restart it and see if that works. But all right, I'm going to keep going then. So then, what we learned during that MSBA discussion was that we were going to need to set up a subcommittee. And so what we did is we asked the select board as our appointing authority last week to grant us the authority to set up our own subcommittees as deemed appropriate, as opposed to having to go to the select board every time with a new charge, different membership, and it'll allow us to kind of continue to roll. Part and parcel with that discussion, we also asked for the ability for the town administrator to sign on behalf of the select board. There's a series of legal documents that need to be signed on a regular basis. And as long as the Neary Building Committee, in conjunction with obviously town council in certain instances, is working through that, then they also granted that sort of authority. So those were the main changes for what I'll call substance. I'm changing my camera here, so hopefully everyone's can see me now. So those were the main changes for substance. The other item was a change to our membership. The school committee discussed, so I guess first and foremost, I think as everyone's aware, Lisa and Katura in their respective roles in the select board and school committee are not seeking election tomorrow for their respective seats, which means that we will have a turnover of those 2 seats. But then, as particular as Greg and I looked at the composition of our committee, we're going to need a lot more construction, engineering, and architectural experience as we move forward. And we felt like that was something that we don't have enough of in our current composition. So what the school committee did at their April board meeting was they basically relinquished one of their seats moving forward. So there'll only be one school committee moving forward, and we're going to add an at-large member that has that requisite experience. We do expect that also Jen and Anarada have decided that they will not be continuing with us when the annual appointment comes up. So we're essentially going to have 3 at-large seats we're going to need to fill. The town has already started to advertise for those. And then we also will have a new select board and likely a new school committee representative after their next meetings over the next week. Jen Primack, who's our second school committee member now, has indicated that I don't think she's planning to continue. So that was the substance of what they approved us to move forward with. I don't know if there's any questions on any of that. Okay. So that sort of goes into the membership updates. I kind of outlined the comings and goings. I would be remiss to not thank both Lisa and Katura for their service, not only to the select board and school committee respectively, but also to this committee. But also Katura, obviously you did a ton of work on that subcommittee for a couple of years too, that really led to this. And I think has put us in a great spot to continue. So I just wanted to thank both of you. I pleaded with both, and hopefully they'll attest to this, to apply for our at-large membership, but I was met with a kind no thank you from both of them. So they'll be missed, at least in my opinion. I just wanted to thank them for their service. I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to chime in before I continue. All right. OPM selection subcommittee. So this is really the main reason why we needed to meet today. As you can tell, as we go through, right, so I think once the election happens, we're going to have basically a point where we may not have the ability to meet a quorum. It'll be Jen and Anarada are technically still members until the 30th of June, unless they resign beforehand, but we need to keep some stuff moving, particularly this OPM selection. So because we have the ability to form our own subcommittees, I have put forward a charge today that I think is fairly simple, that basically says this subcommittee will go out and run a process. It's a very scripted process by the MSBA to hire our owner's project manager. We'll then do the same thing on the back end of that with the assistance of the OPM to hire the designer, but that won't be until, Keith and Becky keep me honest here, but probably late summer, early fall is how this process is going to be undertaken. And then I outlined a draft membership. I'm not wed to the membership of this. I just had to put something on a piece of paper for us to discuss. So let me start with what I think is the easier part. Does anyone have any questions on the charge itself, absent the membership section, and what it's looking to accomplish? Okay. Now on membership. I'll go with the easier part on this. So I met with Greg, Becky, and Keith to see because there are various procurement aspects that we have to have represented. We're fortunate to have both Becky and Keith are MCPPO certified. So we have basically 2 members that meet the qualification, which is great in case of vacations and other things that will get in the way. So I would say what's not negotiable is our 2 non-voting members. I think we should always have the assistant superintendent of operations and the school director of finance. That makes sense? See a lot of head nods. So what do people think on the voting members? I went with 3 to start. I'm not wed to it. Obviously, it's not going to be all 9 of us.
I'll just chime in. It's not that it's going to affect me going forward, but just having been on a 3 voting member committee, it's really small. So you probably thought this through, and I guess it's a short-term thing. So maybe it doesn't, it'll be fine just until September 30th, assuming it's only going to be a 3 or 4 month thing. But that's my only 2 cents, is just that's a tiny committee for voting. But if you're comfortable with it, that's fine with me, obviously, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think we either got to do 3 or 5, right? So if we wanted to go to 5, we would need pretty much all of either between Denise, Mark, and Andrew, you would all basically be on it in that instance. So it's really, I think it comes down to who has the capacity between now and the end of the fall, in the end of the summer, to meet a series of times to run through the process. And the process would start as early as next week.
Jason, can you put the charter up on the screen just to read it again?
Yeah, sure. Hang on.
I assumed you have it in front of you.
I do. Give me 2 seconds here. Can you see it?
Yes.
So before you, the one thing I should have also mentioned is I did talk to the town clerk, and he thought it was perfectly appropriate to designate, instead of having names when we appoint membership, to designate roles. And then obviously we have an omnibus like number 3. We obviously have to put a name in there. But the main reason I did that is I have no idea who the school committee representative is at this point. But I felt strongly that that person should have a seat on this subcommittee, but we need to wait to see who they put forward, which I understand will happen on Wednesday night.
I don't have a problem. I'll step up if necessary.
Okay.
I do agree that at the end, probably after the first 30 or so days, I think we really should have 5, unless you think that's not manageable.
I think it's perfectly manageable. I just didn't want to assume time commitments on anyone's behalf. So if Mark and Andrew are willing to serve, I would gladly change this, because that gives us basically 5 of us, which would then be a quorum of the Neary Building Committee. So I'd have to figure out the logistics of posting for that. But it basically, 5 of us would be hopefully lockstep on who we're going to partner with here for the next 5 or so years. This is, in my opinion, one of the most important, if not the most important decision we make in the process, because this is going to be someone we're going to have to regularly work with, trust, and they're our only representative throughout this process, right? Everyone else kind of, quote unquote, works for us, right? Versus this person is really our advocate along the way.
I have to agree with you, because when we did building when I was on the school board in Ashland, that project person was very important to us as far as executing and a relationship between the board and the voting members. That's a real important job.
Yeah, I think I'd like to have you included for sure.
Okay, Mark, you want to be included?
Sure.
Okay, so then what I would suggest we do, and I'll just change it on the screen so everyone's on the same page, is we're just going to say 3 here.
Yep.
Does anyone have any other comments or questions on that?
Just say members instead of member.
Fair point. Keith and Becky, do you think there's any need to have an ex officio from the town side in terms of Brian or Mark?
I
I don't know
don't-
for the OPM piece of it. I would see Brian probably being more beneficial, like in other aspects of it, but I don't know if Mark wants to be involved.
There's no reason he can't attend the meetings, right? And I'm sure everyone would listen to feedback regardless of whether he's in an ex officio role or not. So unless you have a strong reason to include it, I'll keep it silent for now. Does anyone have any strong thoughts there?
I would say to keep, I would concur to keep it silent for now, because regardless, Greg and Mark are going to be instrumental in this as
Right.
we go, whether it's signatory ability and stuff, so on and so forth. So yeah, I would say silent's good. So this could be the working group that gets things to them.
Okay. No one called me out on this. I just saw this. Voting members 5.
Andrew, you missed that.
All right. So I will make a motion to approve the charge as presented on the screen. Is there a second?
Second,
All right. Is there any further discussion? All right, I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can see everyone and make sure I do the roll call the right way. Denise,
yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes,
and I am a yes. So that passes 6-0. Then I will make a second motion to appoint the chair of the Neary Building Committee, the school committee representative of that serves on the Neary Building Committee, Denise Eddy, Andrew Pfaff, Mark Davis as voting members, and the assistant superintendent of operations and the school director of finance as ex officio non-voting members. Is there a second?
Second,
Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call. Denise,
yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Katura,
yes,
and I am a yes. Did I get everyone?
I think so.
All right, that's a 6-0. All right. So I will be in touch. We'll likely have to wait till at least after Wednesday. And then I'm going to need the select board to take action on who the school committee appoints. So once that happens, we'll have our full group of 5. I'm not seeing any public here, so we're going to pass over public comment. In terms of meeting schedule, obviously the OPM subcommittee will meet probably a few times before the Neary Building Committee meets again. The Neary Building Committee will have to ratify the decisions of the subcommittee at certain points. And there's, again, a very scripted process that we'll spend some time on once that group meets again. Is there any other business anyone wants to conduct today?
No,
All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
second,
Roll call vote.
yes. Yes.
Lisa,
Yes.
Andrew,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Tara,
yes.
and I'm a yes as well. Thanks everyone for jumping
All right,
on.
thank
Greatly
you.
appreciate
Thank you,
it.
everyone. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice